After the school closed at the end of the war and was used as a storage area, it eventually evolved into a youth club and a great deal more. Let's look at all the changes from 1945 to 1981 in this episode of The School That Grew Wings.
When I was 12, I used to play with the girls and we found out there was a youth club opening up. South Lowestoft Youth Club, it was known as. And there was a husband and wife, and they were really quite religious. So they had this youth club, and that was always like not a religious background, but a moral background. And therefore we went on these camps, boys and girls on these camps, and that was as girls and boys should be. We just sat around the campfire, and that was all from this building.
I first came to this building from another youth club, Boston Lodge, but we were recommended to come to this youth club instead. They said the boys were better looking.
And I seem to remember the main youth club was held in what's now the theatre. Yeah, so that's my first memory of actually coming into the building.
Well, we used to come on the bus or on our bikes and get off at the cemetery there and come through. There were various things. There was badminton going on in where the stage is now.
Table tennis. I seem to recall there was a pool or a snooker table there.
They used to have dances here, and on a Sunday, because there was not a lot happening on a Sunday, we used to come up here and have discussions about things, different things. We were talking about teenagers. We were 14, 15, 16. We used to cook for the boys, make cakes and things. To me, that experience of being here in a youth club helped me be what I am.
My mum and dad met here when it was a youth club.
He was a mod and I liked mods.
And you didn't have to put in any makeup, or you just as you were. The experience of belonging to the youth club, which originated from here, made so much difference to all these youngsters, all these pictures you can see of these. I know a lot of their names and what happened to them. And I just can't stress enough how good these youth clubs were.
Well, I first came to the building about 60 years ago because it was a youth club. Youth club downstairs, I think painting workshop upstairs for the college.
Would be 1962. As I said just now, I was at the Oldham Woodrow Secondary Modern Boys School, to give it its full name, and I was quite arty. I liked painting and drawing and what have you. And I was called into the head of the art department one day, and he said he liked what I was doing. I was just pushing 15 then, and I'd got a scholarship at the Lowestoft Art College.
We used to have dancers, and we used to have people from other youth clubs come and dance here as well. But they also had a show. They put a show on, and I remember that one year they had this play, and it was about a beauty queen. One of them had to be a beauty queen, and of course all the girls said, "Oh, I'll be the beauty queen, I'll be the beauty queen," you know. And they actually picked me out to be the beauty queen, and I had this lovely slinky blue satin long dress on, and in the play I had to say to my mother I was getting dressed up as a beauty queen in this play, and I said to my mother, Mother, will I do? And then there's a little voice from the audience said, "You'll do, all right, you'll do." Now, Harry Chamberlain, the one was a solicitor, he was a bachelor, and he used to like to do in the polka, and you hopping around the room, and he loved it, and he always come and pick me out to do this, and he's a great big tall man, great big long legs, and I had to do my best to keep up with him. Poor Harry, I thought, oh no, Harry, not again, I can't do the polka again. And a lot of them finished up marrying. I finished up marrying somebody who belonged to another youth club. Met him when he came up here to dance. That was one of the best experiences of my life, really, belonging to the youth club from this school.
Eastern Coachworks built buses and coaches. The Lowestoft College wanted to run the vehicle bodywork course, so they didn't have the room at the college, so they acquired the bottom floor of this building, and we employed 24 apprentices a year. And they wanted them trained in using skills safely. I taught metalwork. I worked in what they call the panel shop at the coachworks. Because at the coachworks they had various trades to build coaches. We had metalwork shops, a woodwork shop where they put the bodies together. Then they moved the bodies into the paint shop, they painted them, hand painted them. And while they were hand painting, they put the electrics in and the flooring. Then they moved into the finishing shop to put all the seats in. So all these skills we tried to introduce to the students while they were here.
I've got several memories of this place, all good. It was a fantastic place to come, and we were here as apprentices for a solid year before we were even allowed to go to the Coachworks factory.
Well, it's a bit sort of daunting the first day. You come into a strange building with 23 other apprentices at the time, and it's exciting as well as a bit apprehensive because it was like a new chapter in our lives.
It was the best thing I ever done. I learnt how to make wooden joints, dovetails, half laps, and it made you use tools, chisels, planes, saws. Same with the metalworking. We learnt how to braze, roll metal out. All those skills you can use at home for DIY, or as we did with Coachworks. And from being a schoolboy going into work as such, it was a godsend.
The way it was taught, every year each student made that and that and that and that. It's all broken down into stages to achieve that. You did every piece, demonstrated it. For instance, cutting the dovetails in the joints, you'd put it in the vise, they'd stand round, they'd watch every movement and the way you handled it, and now the results. It's a good course.
And we also made the paint pots, which we called paint kettles, that Coachworks used because the buses were actually hand painted at that time.
They're called paint kettles. They're quite useful really because you can hold them better with painting, you see. You haven't got to hold the handle at the top. And they all made one each.
The thing is, when you're doing jobs at home though, you still sort of put the paint on, you're laying off and you think, let's do this more, right? Because it sticks with you.
Every time I come here for a theatre show or whatever, I often say to my partner, oh, this was so-and-so and this was so-and-so. The reception area was the woodworking shop. Where the actual theatre is now was the metalwork shop. Where the ladies' toilets is now was where they served coffee and tea and chocolate biscuits for us apprentices when we had a tea break. And actually behind the stage, where we are now, were the stores for all the wood and all the metal that we used.
Well, I was here from 1970, and then the college decided to move all the workshops back to the college. But we only lasted another 2 years before Eastern Coachworks, unfortunately, was closing down, basically.
I was made redundant in 1986 when Coachworks finished. But those skills and that apprenticeship actually set me in good stead to get other work. And since then, I've become a coach builder, making lorries, trailers, that sort of thing. I then went on to work at Lewis Cars. So all these skills came into their own, and it just set me up for life.
Floor above was a chap called Patrick Redsill, I think his name was. Yeah. He ran that was sound studios and theatre groups, I think they had up here.
I'm Patrick Redsill, and I was the person who originally started what was then Lowestoft Theatre Centre.
And I'm Sandra Redsill, and I did all the other stuff.
I'm Rory Kelsey. I was the advisory teacher for drama for Suffolk County Council, and from 1997 to 2000 I was running the Seagull Theatre, well, Lowestoft Theatre Centre and then the Seagull Theatre. It was what you would expect. Nobody was building custom-built art centres. They were converting out-of-work Victorian schools. Anyway, I wanted a job. I had a house up the road and needed paying for. And I didn't know there was panel beating going on downstairs. We just got introduced to the bit upstairs.
The place we are in now was annoyingly noisy during the day. So if you were upstairs trying to do a rehearsal, or even worse, like I was perhaps doing a recording for a show, this place used to sort of have pneumatic drills and things going while they were trying to chisel off the front end of engines and things. Evenings were great and peaceful, daytimes were chaos.
The panel beating would often start in the most sensitive, silent, quiet moment in a play. Oh, you know, suddenly this cacophony of sound would come from downstairs. And one of us used to go downstairs and politely say, is there any chance you could hold off for 5 minutes? And we were told that this was people's living livelihoods, and we were just messing around. You drama people ponching around upstairs.
Well, we had clashes with them sometimes because of the noise transfer, because we were teaching down here, and upstairs they perhaps had a rock group playing up there. So, but what they didn't know was we had all the electrical fuses in our store, so we could turn the fuse boxes off to quieten things down a bit. We did cause a few arguments, but we got over it.
Even though when we started it was just me, and George Burden, the caretaker, an ex-fisherman with one leg, and an Elvis Presley quiff. But the thing was that we had found an appetite for seeing things which you might not have thought. We kept being told that all people really wanted in Lowestoft was musicals and big sort of all singing, all dancing things. That wasn't what was coming back to us, because we had a healthy membership of our cinema club when we were showing not particularly offbeat films.
We used to get piles of 16mm prints turn up every week in the big steel cans. And, you'd have to try and work out what they were. And I used to just hold them up to the light and see if I could work out what the movie was about, and never got it right once. I just say, I think this one's going to be science fiction. It never was. Thursday nights, 7:30, we'd probably have the first one, which would last maybe 20 minutes. And most times there'd be another one, usually a contrast in terms of what it was, that would go on a bit longer. It was always slightly strange stuff.
But I mean, Karen described it as the Channel 4 option. So we knew that there was an audience out there. We were in regular touch with them. We looked after them well when they came. And then we found young people coming to be in plays, and because they were in productions and plays, they brought their parents, who brought their friends, who brought their friends' children. So it kind of grew.
So for the first time I was about 14, and I came along and joined the contemporary dance classes that Sandra was running. So that was way back in 1975. In the 70s, contemporary dance wasn't as well known as it is now, so we all thought we were doing something really cool, you know.
I remember our school coming upstairs to take part in workshops when it was just the theatre centre, and it was magical.
And your own passion for this whole business of getting young people involved in theatre, because theatre is quite a simple word, but it has extensions to costumes, people, stories and so on. Where did that come from? Why did you feel that young people should be involved in theatre?
It's because of my experience of being a shy boy and discovering that through drama and through performing plays at home and then being at school plays, and then doing a degree course in drama, that actually you could discover things about yourself and release aspects of yourself, and also light a kind of creative fire in which you not only grew as a person, but you also dealt with ideas and ways of doing things. But behind that has to be a kind of belief that you can make things happen, that the impossible is not impossible.
As the theatre centre blazed a trail offering more and more to the community, an opportunity arose to take things up a level. Find out how in the next episode of The School That Grew Wings.